This is the kit to the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, and its price is starting at Kenya shillings 7.6 billion shillings. Do you reckon it gives you absolute value for money as compared to the rivals, the Toyota Fortuner and the Ford Everest? Let's find out. Now we start this review with the design aspect of this particular car. As you can see, there's too much chrome over here. Now this is called the dynamic shield designed by Mitsubishi, just to set it apart from the rivals. As you can see, the teardrop design is also found on the Eclipse Cross that we reviewed earlier on, and also on the Outlander and many others that are coming in across the Mitsubishi range. Now, as you can see, the design is at the front, it's aggressive. It's got that look, it's stylish, it's modern, and it sets it apart from the traditional boxy type design. This allows you to have a drag coefficient of about 0.30, making it very, very efficient. It slices through the air because of this design. Now, moving over to the side profile, Mitsubishi have not gone the aggressive way where they do a lot of bodywork. It only has this bulging fender just to denote presence and butch looks. And obviously on the side, it's got a flat design which is not overly done, but this stainless still gives it that premium look and feel on the side step. Now moving over to the side, this is where matters get dicey. Mitsubishi have actually introduced a trapezoidal sort of rear tail lamp with LEDs just to give this car that different look that you not find in a similar SUV. Now this design actually complements all the way to the bumper, and as you can see here from the rear bumper, the lip actually allows for better exit when you're going off-road, and Mr. Munigi is going to give us a lowdown of this particular car when it goes off-road. Now, do you reckon the style is as good as the rest of the hard? Let us know, but before we go any further, let's step inside and see if this design theme has been implemented in the cabin. So guys, you've seen from the walk around the employment of the dynamic shield design on the front fascia of this Pajero Sport, and matters are not different inside. So as you step inside, I will start with the layout of this particular dashboard. Now, the dashboard has been designed to give you that illusion of space because it's a forward design, and of course you can see the implement of the cheetah eye, the teardrop design that runs across from the center console, gearbox console, and all the way to the armrest. And I can tell you Mitsubishi are not playing games when it comes to designing something that looks very, very premium. So let's start. Mitsubishi have actually used wood trim across the whole dashboard to give this car that premium look and feel, and of course with the silver trim makes it have that je ne sais quoi that we always say on cars with Big Boy Trev. So let's start with this particular multimedia information display. It's actually in piano black finish and actually houses the radio, navigation and certain settings. And of course Mr. Murigi, who's a resident expert, is going to give us a lowdown on what this particular system can do. And moving right below it is a dual zone climate control. Now right below that there are actually a couple of settings: hazard and of course the passenger airbag light, which it shows you that during service it is switched on to ensure that it doesn't pop when, you know, unnecessarily. And obviously right below it you do have the different settings from, of course, park distance control, rear ventilation of course, and then you do have a rear diff lock. The rear diff lock actually is a feature that most SUVs in this category do not have. So Mr. Medi is going to give us a lowdown on this particular rear diff lock and how it works on the off-road segment of the Pajero Sport. Now moving over to the gearbox console, as you can see it's a standard gearbox, and of course it's lined with some stainless steel metallic trim around it just to give that je ne sais quoi, that premium feel. Right below it you do have the Super Select settings. Now Super Select is a legend when it comes to 4x4 systems. This is what made Mitsubishi win the Paris-Dakar Rally many times actually, and this one allows this car to become an off-road warrior. And I can tell you the settings from 4 high, 4 low, even locking the diffs, this car is actually unbeatable when it comes to off-road prowess, and we're going to show that later on. And obviously on the side you do have electronic park brake. There's no handbrake, so that you can create space here for some of the things that you can see here. Now moving over to the instrument pinnacle, Mitsubishi have actually designed the dials to make sure that the vital information is displayed clearly. At a first glance when you're driving, you're able to know the speed of the vehicle and amount of power and revving you're using at any given time. Now moving over to the steering wheel, as you can see, comfortable 4-spoke. On the left hand side you do have setting that controls the multimedia interface, so your radio, and of course if you connected your phone using Bluetooth, you're able to control the certain functionality. Now moving over to the seats, Very comfortable, leather, soft touch leather, and I can tell Big Boy is comfortable. And for the driver, you can actually control, you know, the distance, the tilt and telescopic functionality of the steering wheel, so that you're just comfortable to ensure that you're able to control the Pajero Sport in any situation. Now, it's time to move over. We're going to ask our resident tech expert to give us a lowdown on the multimedia information display on this Pajero Sport. He's going to also give us a lowdown on how much practicality is on the second row seat and the third row, and of course how much cargo it can carry. And then we go on the road and feel the Pajero Sport, only on Cars with Big Boy Trev.
When it comes to technology, the Pajero Sport does indeed have you covered. This actually has quite a lot of technology, most of it for the four-wheel drive system, but a lot of it just has to do with keeping yourself very comfortable and planted when you're on the move. So to begin with, even before you enter the car, you have keyless entry and keyless go. So with just this key in your pocket, you walk close to the car, you can open it, sit down, start the car, and all should be well. Starting at the left over here, we have a touchscreen system over here with a reverse camera. Spectacular reverse camera, I have to say, and it has a Rockford Force Gate sound system, so the sound is actually pretty good. You can pair your phone over here, you can do auxiliary in, USB, you can play a CD, actually still has a CD player over here, just to make sure that you have stuff moving on the move. There's quite a lot. You can actually start with the rain sensing wipers at the top here. You have a blind spot monitor, you have cruise control, you actually have parking sensors in this car, so there's a lot of technology, including what they call forward collision mitigation, which Trevor is going to take you through, which is basically the car doing autonomous emergency braking. If it notices you have not braked, it will brake on your behalf, or it will help you with the braking force. The key technology in this car is all about its off-road capability, which I will show you a little later. This car has now the Super Select off-road system, and in addition to that, it has off-road modes, which I'm also going to take you through. But before I do that, let me get into the back and show you what it feels like to be a passenger in the back seat of this car. Coming down to the back of the Pajero Sport, and this is a very comfortable space to be in. The leather seats in the front also extend to the back, and I love this dark leather. It's very soft, very easy to touch, and that soft premium feel is extended to the door card itself. Lots of soft touch plastic, and then you have, of course, now that wood inlay so that you can feel that sense of luxury. I like the fact that they've also done the headlining at the top in a light color, so that actually makes this feel a lot bigger than it actually is. In terms of space, you actually have enough space in each of the doors to put a 1 liter container, as well as, of course, now cup holders that pop up over here, so you're actually very well when you're on the move. In terms of safety, you have a side curtain airbag that extends all the way across here, as well as ISOFIX points for child seats. Now, of course, being 2020, technology is at the front, so you need to be able to charge your devices. You have 2 USB points at the back here and 1 12-volt socket, meaning that there's enough power for 3 people across. I have to also add the fact that in the center console, there is a proper power socket just like you have in the house. So if you need to charge a laptop, you need to charge your camera when you're on the move, you can actually do that in this car. The only other car in this segment that has that is the Ford Ranger or the Ford Everest. So this is actually a very welcome thing in this car itself. In addition to that, that air conditioning in the front again also extends to the back. So we have vents at the top here and air conditioning controls that are put at the top so that you can make sure that you keep yourself cool or warm on a long trip. Let's check out the back, because now this is a 7-seater, to see what it feels like to be in the third row. Coming to the third row, and it's a bit of a tight squeeze in here. This I would say would be for children, although I am a full-size adult, 5'9". I'm actually able to sit here, but I would only suggest that for very short trips. And there's actually technology that's running all the way to the back here. So you have the air conditioning vents that are available, you have quite a lot of visibility out through the windows, and you actually have 2 cup holders in the back for the people who'd be sitting at the back here, including a 12-volt socket in case anybody at the back here needs to be able to charge their devices. But there's more. There's actually space in the back here. Let's go check out the boot. Coming round to the back of the Pajero Sport, and as you can see with the key in your pocket, all you need to do is just press over here and it will open to reveal a bit of a smaller space because all 7 seats are up. This is just enough to carry the essentials for a weekend trip. But if you need to carry some more, you can put the seats down. And it reveals quite a lot of space that is very usable. Because this car is a bit high, the lip is actually also pretty high, but we also have additional space in the middle here to carry 1 or 2 things because the spare tire is under the car. It's a full-size spare tire, matching alloys with the rest of the wheels. If you are to lay all of the seats inside here flat, it gives you access to 1,500 liters of capacity. And in addition to that, you actually have the same 12-volt socket for the third row being available in the boot for anything that you need to put at the back here. But right now, it's time for us to take this on the road, see what that engine has to offer. Let's see what Trey has to say about this as a driving experience.
So guys, today we are sampling the Pajero Sport, a name that has a lot of heritage. If you remember the Paris-Dakar Rally, this particular car and its predecessors were actually on top of their game in the 90s. Super select 4x4 system and of course a hard chassis that could withstand anything. So today on Cars with Big Boy Trev, we are sampling this Pajero Sport. So what does it have? Obviously, we start with the engine. Now up front you have a 2.4 liter turbo diesel with MIVEC technology. For those who don't know MIVEC, it means Mitsubishi Intelligent Variable Valve Timing Electronic Control and Lift System that varies the amount of air that gets into the engine at different intervals and different speeds to give you maximum torque and economy. So as you press like this, you can feel the turbo kicking in, and of course the MIVEC helps the engine to breathe much better and become more lively. So this particular engine actually produces 178 horsepower and 430 Newton meters of torque. It is sent to the 4 wheels courtesy of an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's not CVT, it's automatic with Tiptronic functionality to give you that feel like right now I'm feeling. I am driving on the famous Kiambu Ring and I can tell you this car is such a performer. I don't know, have you ever sampled the Toyota Fortuner or the Ford Everest? We're going to give you a reveal and of course do a head-to-head coming soon on CBBT. Now, all that power, efficiency is so important, it's the name of the game. So on this particular car, 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not too bad for a diesel vehicle. And of course, this car weighs roughly at about 2 tons. It's not too bad, it's not too shabby. And of course, the chassis that this particular Pajero Sport is on is based on the Mitsubishi L200. So a lot of hardiness, a lot of toughness, which is the name of the game when you're playing in this particular category. Now, how does it handle? Now, it being based on the L200 chassis, it doesn't mean it has a pickup-like feel. So up front you have wishbones, at the back you have 3-link coil springs which allow this car to be planted, of course, on tarmac. And when you're going off-road, it allows for wheel articulation. Long stroke suspension for comfort and wheel articulation when you're going off-road, which Mr. Medic is going to show us later on. But the feel feels good, the steering is precise, it's not electrical but it's hydraulic, but it's very accurate. You can actually tell where the car is pointing at any given time. That is so important, especially when you're trying to drive on tarmac. When it comes to safety, Mitsubishi have actually used the RISE philosophy to build the chassis and the cabin to ensure that impact energy is dissipated away from the passenger cell so that you and your family can remain safe. It has a mix of active and passive safety features that include ABS, ESP, and of course blind spot assist, autonomous, emergency braking, and so many others that just help you prevent an accident. But in case all hell breaks loose, then you can rely on, obviously, the 6 airbags that are strewn across the cabin, the safety belts, and of course a 5-star passenger cell that ensures that minimum impact energy is absorbed within the cabin, keeping you safe from harm's way, which is very, very important in this day and age. And obviously, gives you peace of mind when you're traveling long distance in the Pajero Sport. But that said, it's time to go off-road. Can this particular car match the likes of the Toyota Fortuner or the Ford Everest or the Isuzu MUX? We're going to hand over the reins to Mr. Mirik, who's our resident 4x4 expert. We're going to see the wheel articulation, obviously angle of departure, and the comfort off-road in the Pajero Sport. So stay tuned, and then I'm going to give you value for money.
Now here we are going off-road with the Pajero Sport, and I'm really excited about this because Mitsubishi has a great heritage with off-roading, especially now with the Paris-Dakar Rally that they started now running the Pajero Evolution, and they won very many awards with that. And so this four-wheel drive system, the Super Select system, actually has a tried and tested heritage of being amazing. So the first thing that I'll tell you is that unlike very many other cars in this segment, this actually is a part-time four-wheel drive, but it has a four-wheel drive high that allows you to drive on tarmac. So this actually has four-wheel drive modes now. It actually has the 2 high, which is now a rear wheel drive. It has 4 high where all 4 wheels are driven. The distinction between the 4 high on this and 4 high on other cars is that it can actually be on 4 high without the center differential being locked. So it means you can drive it on tarmac for maximum traction in situations like rain, or if you have to drive on a very sandy surface, if you're driving all the way to Lodwar. Now, the other 4-wheel drive settings now are where this begins to show its ability. You're able to switch it from 4 high to 4 high with the center differential locked. So what this means is that it's giving 40% of power to the front, 60 to the back full time. In addition to that, you can actually now put it in low range. So what's happening now is that you have 4-wheel drive, all 4 wheels are being driven. You can now lock the center differential and then put the engine into low range, which gives you incredible capability when you're on the road. The advantage of all of this combined means that this is an incredibly capable vehicle when it's off the road. In addition to those features, which ideally would be for professionals, there are actually drive modes for sand, for mud, for rocks that will actually allow people who have not necessarily gotten a lot of training in off-road to be able to master the terrain with this vehicle. The suspension has been spectacular so far. This honestly seems to be a car that's built for off-road. The capability on this surface is actually pretty good. I'm very, very impressed with what this is able to do. It can weigh up to 700 millimeters. So this is actually a vehicle that is incredibly capable. But let's see how it stacks up against the competition. Let's go to value for money.
So guys, you've sampled the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport in all its glory. The dynamic shield concept goes very well with the tough and hardy chassis. But Mr. Mirigi, what are your highlights of this particular car? Do you like it?
So far, so good. I really am very impressed with this. The challenge with a lot of these cars now, which are now the SUVs that are based on double cabs, is they have to fight, first of all, the perception that they're a pickup. And of course, now they have to provide that luxury possibility. Because the thing is, they are very capable off the road. They're very capable when it comes to carrying stuff, but are they capable from a family perspective? And so far, this has proven that it's really good with that. Interior is spectacular. All of the technology in the car works to make you a better driver, works to make it a very comfortable space and a very safe space for you and your family. But the star of the show when it comes to this car is that off-road capability. That Super Select 4-wheel drive, like you said, honed during the Paris-Dakar Rally, this capability off-road is unmatched in this class.
Wow. So how much does it cost to have this car on the road?
Well, there are 2 grades and we are driving today the higher grade. This is available for 7.6 million shillings. This, of course, now comes with a 3-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty, whichever comes first.
And you can rely on Simba Corp's extensive network across the country, serving Mombasa, Nanyuki, Kisumu, Nakuru. Visit and you'll be able to get a chance to sample this Pajero Sport. But lastly, who are the key rivals in this segment?
This segment, of course, now being the SUVs that are based on pickups or based on double cabs, we have to talk about, of course, the Ford Everest, the Isuzu MU-X, the Nissan Pathfinder, which should be coming to our market, and the perennial rival for this, in my opinion, is the Toyota Fortuner.
So guys, do you think this particular Pajero Sport is better than the rivals? Send us your thoughts as seen on our social media handles below, and we'll get back to you next week with the results. We're signing out. This is Big Boy Trev.
This is Mirigi. Drive safe
and be safe.
Thank you.